Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Business Africa. I'm your host, Afolake Oyinloye. And today we have a cocktail of opportunities, challenges, and bold moves by African entrepreneurs and economies. The top stories this week. The 2022 EU-Africa Business Forum can be considered a success, having raised over 500 million euros. The event emphasized the need of public-private collaboration in tackling long-standing challenges such as immigration. Africa's young people have gained a reputation for starting businesses. However, many African entrepreneurs also decry the unfavorable condition killing their business. We'll find out why their enterprises do not last. Uganda has announced a 2-year suspension of its membership from the International Coffee Organization in an attempt to pressurize the organization to address its concerns as a coffee-producing country. Deals worth €500 billion were signed. Thousands of young people from both continents participated, and several resolutions were reached on critical issues of COVID-19 vaccination, infrastructure, immigration, and mutual collaboration. The 2022 EU-Africa Business Forum was, by all standards and measures, a success, and we highlight details of the agreements reached in this report.
The 2022 EU-Africa Business Forum was a resounding success for businesses and the people in the two continents, which have a long and rich historical connection. European and African representatives appended their signatures to more than 20 agreements in Brussels.
We estimate that just to overcome the impact of COVID, Africa needs to mobilize $285 billion within 5 years. How we can get to that point? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. When we have sound foundation for private sector investments, transparency and accountability for public spending, resource mobilization domestically going up at least 15% of GDP, but actually 20-25% is what is necessary. And then international support on the scale that would transform Africa.
Some of the deals concluded include Afreximbank's agreements with the German and French development banks to boost local vaccine production capacity and improve Africa's response to COVID.
I was in December in Institut Pasteur de Dakar. And I can tell you, those who think that Africa cannot produce vaccines are not paying attention. And I'm very proud that Senegal is using part of their new allocation of special drawing rights to boost vaccine production in Senegal for Africa.
The European Union also committed more resources to Agri-Fee, a project with an estimate of 98 million euros. Key industry players recognize the potentials of youth participation and entrepreneurship and also expressed their support to the tune of 58 million euros. A clean energy initiative was financed with a budget of 73 million euros. Beyond financial commitments, the forum underscored the essence of public-private partnership in resolving long-standing issues such as migration.
Albert Muchanga, Africa Union Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Industry and Mining, joins us for more on that report. Commissioner Muchanga, during the opening session, you set out the need for investment and growth potential and called for partnership to support the AU vision. What is your reflection about this forum?
We had the challenges of COVID-19 and the related restrictions, but all the same, there was a lot of enthusiasm. And that enthusiasm came from both the governments and the private sector. The government leaders were able to meet the private sector and dialogue with them and clarify a lot of policy issues where there are questions from the private sector. And we encourage the private sector to engage in business-to-business deals. I'm advised that more than 500 billion euro has been signed on as business-to-business deals. That is a very distinct success. The targeted audience was more than 10,000. In one session, I was advised that there was 17,000 people linked in. Again, it shows a lot of enthusiasm for the for the forum. So we look forward to strengthening exchange of experiences between the African and European youth startup operators.
Now, what issues emerged during the debate that should be addressed by political leaders who attended the AU-EU summit?
A number of issues emerge, one of which is that there's limited information about the opportunities for business-to-business transactions between Africa and Europe. And as a result of this, I think a very important step that has been taken by Europe is to create the global gateway. And out of this gateway, there are going to be a lot of resources that are going to be earmarked for Africa. There's also the issue of the fact that Africa is a young continent. It has the capacity to really meet the population deficit, that demographic deficit that Europe faces, by streamlining migration so that there's more regular migration than irregular migration. And of course, at the end of the day, the issue that emerged, and there's mutual agreement, is that we need to reinforce the partnership between Africa and Europe. So in both the declaration of the heads of state and government and the declaration of the business leaders, that reinforcement in partnership is emphasized.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Mochanga, for those insights. With 4 out of top 9 countries with most entrepreneurs per capita located in Africa, according to research conducted by UK-based business networking group Approved Index, there's no doubt about the continent's zeal for starting businesses. And yet, many African entrepreneurs do not survive the cutthroat business environment, and indeed many businesses do not live to celebrate their first birthdays. In this report, we explore some factors that negatively affect the ease of doing business in Africa.
With a total worth of about $6.6 billion, no African leader dares underestimate the value of startups on the continent. Many African youngsters now see entrepreneurship as the perfect route to escape unemployment. However, many African entrepreneurs also decry the unfavorable conditions killing their business. To successfully float a business, you need adequate funding. And this has posed great difficulty to African entrepreneurs. When startups apply for bank loans, they usually have to cope with high interest rates that don't match the expected returns on their investment. Government agencies must rise to the occasion by setting up credit support systems for African entrepreneurs.
It's like a zigzag.
In addition, many entrepreneurs are often discouraged by stringent and inconsistent policies. For example, in countries like Nigeria, Ethiopia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, there is a need to improve electricity supply, which often hinders production and helps startups to reduce their operating costs. Above all, African leaders need to revise the high taxes levied on SMEs. If these reforms are made, it will not only promote entrepreneurship, but also attract foreign investment to Africa.
Right on the back of record high earnings of $75.2 million in the month of December, Uganda has suspended its membership of the International Coffee Organization in a bid to get better terms on price indicators and classification from the organization. While Uganda has reassured its stakeholders, including the farmers, that the suspension would not affect their exports since ICO does not regulate coffee trade, it remains to be seen whether this bold move to demand better treatment as a coffee-producing country will yield results.
Uganda has announced a 2-year suspension of its membership from the International Coffee Organization in an attempt to pressurize the organization to address its concerns as a coffee-producing country. Some of the expectations from Uganda in this negotiation is for the ICO to look at taking into the value-added coffee and not only the green beans. Uganda says the composite indicator price favors consuming countries like the USA, Germany and the UK that buy the green bean, add value and later get the better prices. The other concern Uganda has is the classification of coffees. The ICO does not favor the country's uniqueness as the birthplace of Robusta coffee, or Ethiopia being the origin of Arabica. According to UCDA, Uganda not joining the 2-year extension of ICA 2007 will not affect coffee exports or trade in any way. This is because ICO does not regulate coffee trade. Uganda's monthly coffee exports earnings in December hit the highest mark of $75.2 million. The December earnings were slightly higher than what the country earned in the months of August and November, which recorded $75.02 million and $71 million respectively. This performance was a record earnings and the highest so far, marking a return to the higher levels since 2011. Uganda remains a leading coffee exporter and second leading producer in Africa and ranked among the top 10 producers.
And that story brings us to the end of this week's episode of Business Africa. We hope you're ready to take on all the opportunities and serve the continent's billion-plus customers. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.